This might be a rarity for this sub, as I'm the one who had the malicious compliance done to by someone else, but I had to respect it and thought it was worthy for this subreddit. Context: I own an escape room company in a town which borders a pretty touristy area and is very close to an airport. As such, we tend to get a lot of bookings from people all over the UK who are visiting the area for the weekend, or international people coming to do an escape room on the way to the airport. We only take online bookings and don't take walk-ins, therefore the site is only really manned whenever we have bookings. As such, our cancellation policy is that we only allow refunds if the cancellation is more than 24 hours before the scheduled start time. If it is 2 to 24 hours before the start time, we can only reschedule the booking. Now, it's worth mentioning that for the majority of cases, weekdays, we are pretty relaxed with our policy, as long as it doesn't cause any big issues, and try our best to accommodate a group, as usually I'm the one hosting them, so there's not any additional expenses on our part. That is, staff were just less of income from other potential customers. However, the only day where this policy is really relevant is on Saturday, where we are almost always entirely booked from morning to night and have staff members working for us. So any cancelled slots would most likely have been filled by other customers, and we are of course still paying our staff for that time. Although I must say, we have only ever had to enforce this policy a couple of times, as we are usually accommodate a group in some shape or form. Now onto the MC. So I get a call earlier today from a gentleman with a thick Scottish accent that was scheduled to come in with his group in around 2.5 hours from the time of the call. The group said that they would be unable to make their booking as they were running late with some other activities or something like that, and asked to reschedule the booking for a later slot. I checked our schedule, but didn't have any slots left for today in any of our rooms. He then asked for a refund, as they would be returning back to Glasgow tonight and didn't know when they would be next down here. I told him our policy and that our system only allows reschedules instead of refunds due to the time frame, and explained that given it's a Saturday we can't refund so close to the time as staff has been arranged, slot would have been booked etc, etc. Rescheduling wouldn't have worked for them as they wouldn't be in the area anytime soon. After a short pause, he asked if we had any free slots to schedule for next month. I checked the system and offered to move the booking to the same time on the 16th of November, to which he said yeah, I think that works. I changed the time on the system and informed him he would get an email confirming the new time slot. He replied great, so the booking is more than 24 hours away now, right? Me yes, it's booked in for 4 weeks time from today. Him right, so the booking is more than 24 hours away. I won't be able to make it. Can I have a refund? I paused for a second trying to process what had just happened in my head and realized that he had found a loophole in the system. Technically, his booking was more than 24 hours away, so he is technically entitled to a refund. I started laughing and congratulated him on beating the system as I processed his refund. Obligatory. This was the turn of the century. I was 17 and worked as a silver service waiter in the corporate boxes at a stadium for a Premier League football team who have a reputation for having mostly out of town fans. As a silver service waiter, your job was to make sure the box was clean for whoever was using it that day, make sure the fridges were stocked with refreshments, serve dinner after the game, depending on kickoff time, and make tea and coffee during. When you weren't required, you stood outside the box until the attention light outside the door lit up. I wasn't very good at my job. I frequently forgot things, but my patter with the customers usually saw me through. One day I was working on a box owned by a major refuse collection company, and the occupants that day were 4 of their high-level management from Scotland. 3 of them were nice enough blokes, but one was definitely the asshole of the group. I let slip I supported an opposing team and he jokingly derided me about it until I was so unfunny I just started ignoring him, and whilst everyone else would help themselves to beers and tea, he demanded that I did it. After the match it was time to serve dinner. I can't remember what the starter was, but the main was roast beef with mash, and veg, and dessert was profiteroles with chocolate sauce. I dished everything out and went to get the gravy, but because I was so damned slow there was none left. When I went back to tell the box, they were all fine with it except us whole. This is ridiculous. Go and get me some sauce. Me, I'll see what I can do, but they are definitely out of gravy. Just get the sauce. I went into the kitchen and asked the chef dutifully for some sauce. He looked confused and told me they were out of gravy. He doesn't want gravy, he wants some sauce. The chef poured me a ladle of the sauce into a gravy boat and handed it to me. Chef, are they having dessert already? No. I left the kitchen, re-entered my box, and put the gravy boat in front of asshole. I managed to get you some sauce. Then I left. And waited 30 seconds later I hear a loud expletive and see the attention light is lit. I walk in to find asshole red-faced. It's fine chocolate. Yes, for the profiteroles. Oh, you didn't put it on your dinner did you? He had. Get me another one. At this stage, there were no dinners left as the staff had eaten them all, so he had to make do with a sandwich whilst his friends laughed at him. I can't remember whether he had dessert or not. This happened in 1999, which is important because consumer cell phone use was pretty new at the time. I was a college student and had just gotten my first cell phone, and as a result, didn't need a phone in my dorm room. The school had a small department that managed in-dorm phone service and you were automatically given an account, but if you cancelled during the first few weeks of school, you weren't billed for those weeks, or for future weeks, obviously. Okay, great. I didn't need a landline, so, on my first or second day on campus, I cancelled the service. I expected no bill, but there was a wrinkle. I had an on-campus job and arrived at school a few weeks before classes started. The billing software saw that I had a day of phone service and should have erased it, but it wasn't designed properly. It only erased service from the first few weeks of school, not the weeks before classes began. I was billed about $3 for a day or two of phone service I never signed up for. When I got the bill, I went to the phone department office to explain, and they said no problem, they'd look into it. And surprise, they were able to remove the $3 charge. A month later, I get a new bill in the mail, showing a balance of $3 and a credit of $3, and a late fee of $0.09 for failing to pay the $3 on time. I went back to the phone department and they basically told me that they don't know how to fix it, and that I should just pay the 9-cent fine, and that if I didn't, it would automatically get kicked over to a collections agency and screw up my credit rating. I said that's ridiculous and they agreed, but couldn't fix it. And then someone there, jokingly, said something about a payment plan. The phone department, being part of the university, wanted to keep students out of hock, so they allowed you to pay your unpaid phone bills over time. This was intended for the stupid freshman who made hours-long distance calls to his high school girlfriend, not realizing it was like $4 minute, but in theory, it applied to my situation too. You could agree to pay any outstanding debt over the remaining months of the school year, which in my case meant $0.01 per month for 9 months. I asked them to sign me up. For the next 9 months, they sent me a 1-cent bill, which, by rule, I had to go to the phone office to pay within 10 days. I did, and they'd give me a receipt, which I asked them to mail. In total, they sent me 20 letters, 9 bills, 9 receipts, plus the original bill and the one with the late fee in it, at the $0.30 or so in postage that they had to pick up. It cost them at least $6 to get my 9 cents. Thank you for watching. Slap that like button and comment your opinion on these stories below. I'm waiting. Write that comment. Seriously. Have you written it yet? If you don't comment, you make a bunny cry somewhere. You're not that kind of person, I know. Anyways, peace out, and catch you tomorrow.